You're a success coach, you're a results expert. I love helping people get results. And your partner in believing, because I know that you can get the results that you want in life. So I have a question for you. If you knew that you couldn't fail, if it was an absolute sure thing that it would all work out, would you make different decisions than you're making today? I think we all would. I think we would all make different decisions if we want guarantees, don't we? However, we've been trained and conditioned, you and I, to think based on our current conditions, to think based on what has been in our life, to think based on our track record. We've learned to make decisions thinking from the same thought process that produced the results that we have today. It's actually isn't that the definition? I think Einstein said that was the definition of insanity. And yet we do it because we've been conditioned to do it that way. What's more is even if the conditions aren't what we want, we still function from them. We make decisions from our current self-image, even though we can raise our self-image. But right now, we are dealing with the self-image that we currently have and the level of self-esteem that we currently have. And everything we think and all of the decisions we make come from that level. But we can shift that. For many, many years, my mentor has said and taught, we can't get to our dream, we have to come from it. I'm going to share with you what that means in a bit and how we actually do that. It's interesting. I feel so blessed to be working in a field of personal growth, of human potential. The research in the field of neuroscience now has proven that what Mary says is true. We can't, in order to attract that thing that we want, we have to come from it some of the time. We have to think from that energy, from that vibration some of the time. Neuroscience now can actually observe physical changes in our brain that create different experiences in our life when we are thinking differently. So when they're observing a person who is thinking as if they're in that life that they would love to live, actually in it, that they are making physiological brain changes that actually bring that into reality. Pretty exciting. Very exciting. So I'm sure that you would agree that a person that's already living the life that you would love and living thinks differently. They're making different decisions. So it follows then that if we can learn to think like that person, with that person's awareness, that we can attract that. That if we were thinking that way, that we would already be living that life. Does that make sense? Let me explain further. Now, right now, you might be asking, okay, Tracy, so how do I think from a place that I've not yet been? How do I think from that position if I don't know what it actually feels like, smells like, tastes like, is like? How do I think from that? Here's where your vision and your imagination comes in. Now, remember that your imagination is one of your 6 mental faculties. We have our 5 senses that are of the humanness, and we've got our 6 mental faculties that are unseen forces. And your imagination is instrumental in living the life that you would love living. So we start by creating a very vivid vision of the life that we would love living. It's the foundation. And then we must interact rigorously and regularly with that vision, using our imagination to experience that life through our imagination. And the more we engage our 5 senses in the process, the more powerful the practice is. The sooner and the more precisely you will draw into your life the content that you desire. Why is that the case? Because when we bring our 5 senses in, our 5 senses generate emotion. And emotion, we actually move molecules. We actually create those brain changes that neuroscience now is documenting. So this is exactly what Einstein meant when he said, exactly what he's describing when he stated, match the frequency of the reality that you want and you cannot help but to get that reality. Match the frequency in vibration Imagine what it's like. Feel like what it's like. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but to get that reality. He's suggesting that we spend some time coming from our dream. I'm reading a book right now by a man by the name of Carmen Gallo. And I love what he says. It's the first time I've heard it worded this way, but I think maybe it'll land for you like it landed for me. He disagrees with fake it till you make it. What he says is more precisely true is fake it until you become it. So spend some time in that space. So right now, I'm going to invite you to get your calendar out and calendar some time this week to pull out your vision. Hopefully you've been looking at it every day, but if you haven't, go back, pull that vision out. Add some languaging to it that has to do with what it would taste, feel like, smell like, to be living that life. So that the vision, when you read it, makes you come more alive than it ever has before. And then calendar a few minutes each day, and that's all it's going to take is a few minutes each day this week to review your vision, to experience with all 5 senses what it would be like to live the life that you are dreaming of. Notice what ideas start to pop into your head about how you can bring that into your life. Notice the opportunities that start to show up that will help you facilitate that. Notice what resources begin to show up in your life. Now, I'm going to guess, and I certainly hope that if you do this for 7 days, that you're not going to want to stop. That you say, you know what, I am noticing different habits. I'm in different ideas. I'm noticing different opportunities. Even though they might be small, remember, we can take baby steps to get toward our dream. My hope is, and my invitation is that you make reviewing your vision and stepping into your vision and coming from your vision, that you make that a lifelong practice. Here's to your dream. Signing off till next week, Tracy Williams.